there. You must be my Libra. I'm Angelica. I'm going to be conducting this sort of metaphysical, physical examination along with the psychological test and the oracle reading now. It has been slipping my mind, but I'm going to be taking a photo with your consent for our databases to compile a physical dossier of what each zodiac sign looks like to see if we can discern any sort of physical characteristics that might reveal who you are per your zodiac sign. Do you consent to me taking your photo? Excellent. Okay, in that case, I'm going to need you to just look at me. Look at me right here. Okay. Keep looking at me right here. Perfect. Now look to the left. My left, your right. Look to the left. Okay, excellent. Look to the left. Okay, perfect. Now look to the right. Look to the right. Okay, perfect. Look to the right and perfect. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, I'm going to put on these gloves. Now the next question I have for you is, do you consent to being recorded? This is for our clerical use. It is for in-home, rather it is for in-office training, so that way we can make sure. Would you mind extending your hands out like this? Perfect. That way we make sure that our future employees know how exactly to conduct an exam of this caliber. There we go. Now for your other hand. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And I'm just going to put on a little bit of lotion, just to make sure that I have some nice soft hands. Nice soft hands. And then we're going to break you down very, very easily now. As a Libra, you are ruled by the planet Venus. Your element is air, so you have a drive for the romantic aspects of life. You are the quintessential hopeless romantic along with Tauruses, but where Tauruses are looking for a more practical, stable, rooted love, you oftentimes try to people please to a point where you lose yourself and you feel like who you are as a person is not appreciated for the person that you are, but rather for the services that you do, much like a Taurus. So unlike a Taurus, you are very much likely to leave a relationship as quickly as possible that no longer serves you, and the way you leave tends to be very much overnight, never giving anyone indication of where you went, and you tend to rebound very quickly. Now, your symbol are the scales. Ironically, though, you are someone who's prone to a lot of indecision. You are someone who is very slow to take action. You always want to count for every little particle, every consequence that could possibly go wrong. And because you tend to have that analysis paralysis, you don't ever tend to make a permanent consequential decision until it feels like you have no other choice. Likewise, when it comes to debates, arguments, friendships, you never really take a side. You never really establish your own point of view, just because you would much rather just keep your mind open. You would much rather just kind of swallow in all of the information that's being given and digest it and move along with your day, because ultimately you don't want to ruin the vibe. If that resonates with you, you might want to look into your chart and see how much Libra you have, especially if you're a very big, hopeless romantic, but you oftentimes find yourself not really settling down with the person or obsessing over the other person, but rather much more looking at them like a Prince Charming or a knight in shining armor, and if they fail to meet that expectation, you dismiss them and find someone else to fill that role. You could have a lot of Libra in your chart. Your colors are... Your stones are the opal, very beautiful, very suiting for you, and the jade, lovely. The meanings behind these stones are that they free up your energy, so that way you're not so tense about pleasing others, about taking care of others. You don't necessarily take care of them in the maternal way, you just do so in a way where you just want to make sure that everyone's happy and having a good time, which is a very big air sign quality. It enhances your judgment. You need to practice judging people more and criticizing people more. Oftentimes you do that once it's been a little bit of a time of an annoying time where you start to criticize and judge people. Once it's like so blatant in your face, like it's just undeniably annoying. But before you get to that point, before you start, you know, getting along with people or spending a lot of time with people, you're going to want to really be more critical of those that you allow into your circle or those that you spend time with, because oftentimes you regret allowing them into your inner circle and you regret associating with them, because since you are a people pleaser, they're going to continue having the expectation that you're going to just consistently be at their beck and call or consistently be chipper and cheery around them when they've given you no reason to be that way. So being a little more critical with your social interactions. Now, it'll also help your kidney functions. We're going to be conducting a physical exam. We will break down your physical biology as a Libra, and we'll be checking in to make sure that your organs are functioning well. It'll also bolster your courage to make compassionate decisions. Now, oftentimes when you are faced with a decision between you know, leaving or staying, choosing one side or another, you tend to choose the most selfish act. Granted, of course, you know, selfishness can be a form of self-love, but at the same time, because there is that lack of balance, ironically, considering how your symbol is the scales, but only when you have been properly matured, where you can really easily take into account all of the information and weigh out a perfect choice because you have analyzed it to perfection. When you're immature, that sense of weighing those options ends up being completely thrown out of balance, and you just can never make a decision. And when you do, it's the most quick, just emotionally charged, just annoyed, forefront sort of snapping of a decision. So making compassionate decisions when it comes to handling difficult matters, making sure that, you know, all of your ducks are lined up in a row before you pull the trigger, essentially, as gruesome as that sounds. Oftentimes, because you do people please so much without consideration for your own needs, when you finally do make a decision, you use that lopsided sense of people pleasing to justify your lack of compassion for your judgment. So for example, just being constantly nice, when it is very much recommended that you establish boundaries and push people away. And then when you do make a decision, you just start wailing blows at the other person, and it's just so out of left field because everyone's just kind of like, whoa. And that's when you kind of have to have that balance of, no, go away, so you don't get to that point. Now, your plants and trees and shrubs are the pansy, the primrose, the violet, the strawberry. Strawberry is actually an anti-aging fruit and also anti-cancer. White poplar, aspen, grapevine, blackberry, and ivy. As for your colors are the primary colors, so red, blue, yellow. Your other colors are shocking pink, so like hot pink, like that 2000s pink, lovely, and night blue, because you do have a more introspective side to you. Now, as for your superpower, because each zodiac sign is endowed with their own unique special talents according to their own inner defaults and mechanisms and strengths. So your superpower is harmony personification. Let's break that down real quick. The ability to create harmony and balance in all environments, a variation of mind control. So you have an ability to really influence someone's sense of peace, someone's sense of acceptance, someone's sense of harmony. You have that ability to just ooze that energy into a room where you are the energy that makes everyone feel very at ease. So it is a form of mind control where then people are addicted to your presence. And as a Libra, people do end up finding themselves very much addicted to your presence. Think Jeff Goldblum. As a Libra, creating equilibrium helps you transcend difficult situations. For you, harmony is the goal, and you're driven to achieve it by any means necessary. Your mantra is, why can't we be friends? You are very highly likely to remain friends with an ex. All air signs they are all very likely to remain friends with an ex, but you very much so. Although the drive towards harmony is admirable, your preoccupation with imbalances can lead to an unstable sense of self. So oftentimes, because you're so preoccupied with pleasing others, you lose yourself in the process. This instability occurs when you place more emphasis on the external world than your internal one. In order to ensure you are taking care of number one, I'm going to remove my sweater because it's getting a little hot. It's important to develop your priorities. Contemplate who you are, your boundaries, and your philosophies. Remember, your external circumstances mirror your internal environment. The change you seek in the world begins from within. So you are someone who's very aesthetically driven, so make sure that when you look around your room or your house or your apartment or whatever it may be, that you are looking at the aesthetics that surround you as a reflection of your own internal world. So if it's chaotic outside, it's chaotic within. If it's organized outside, it's organized within. If it's minimalist outside, it's minimalist within. Very simple living. So let's conduct your physical examination now. The organs that govern you are your kidneys, your skin, which looks flawless today, and your lower back and your butt. I'm not going to examine your butt because that's where you poop, but your lower back, your skin, and your kidneys. I'm going to conduct a quick skin examination, and then I'm going to take your heartbeat from, or rather examine your kidneys and your lower back. Is this okay? Perfect. I'm just going to come in really closely. I'm just going to sector off your face into quadrants rather. I'm just going to label this quadrant 3, quadrant 1, quadrant 2, and quadrant 4. Okay. I can see from quadrant 1 that your skin is doing quite well. Do you happen to drink water? I would highly recommend drinking some more water just because I do see some fine lines. Oftentimes we are very water deficient in our diet, and considering all the sodium we intake, I'm going to move to sodium, quadrant 2. The sodium we intake, it really dries us up very quickly. Okay, quadrant 2, yep, once again, drink a little more water. It'll help flush out all the toxins that you've ingested. There's a lot of them within our food, especially if you eat out. Quadrant 3, nothing to speak of here. It seems that you are having a little bit of a hormonal imbalance. There's a little bit of spots near your chin. I would say get some rest, eat some chocolate. Chocolate doesn't cause acne. It helps soothe you down. It's a comfort food. So really just allow yourself to take a breath and take a moment's rest. Now for quadrant 3, or quadrant 4 rather. Lovely, same. Drink more water, get more rest. All I gotta say. Now I'm gonna be just examining your kidneys and then your lower back. So come forward for me a little bit. I'm just going to find your kidney. Okay, now take a deep breath for me. And breathe out. Okay, excellent. Now for your other kidney, take a deep breath in for me. And out. Perfect. Now turn around for me, please. I'm going to just situate you really quickly. Move your hips around. There we go. I'm going to just examine your lower back, just down the center of your spine. So right there. Okay. Take a deep breath in for me. And out. In that case, your health is doing quite well. My only concerns are that you just practice a sense of boundaries. There's plenty of resources online as to how to start carving them or building them up, to practice how to make decisions that really coincide with your philosophies. Really figure out what are your principles, what are your morals, what are your values, what are the things that you are not willing to compromise. Not willing to compromise. You are someone who compromises a lot. So what are you not willing to compromise, and keep at it. And making sure that you drink more water, of course, and that you allow yourself rest. Now, let's begin with the psychological test. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for me. Close your eyes for me, please. And I want you to picture a scene with air. I want you to picture a scene, an image, a video, a scenario with air. And I want you to picture it right here, right here, right there, right here. And as we picture this scenario with air, we're going to be really trying to get more detailed in this picture. So, is the air blowing through something? What does it sound like? Is there a smell attached to the air? What is going on in the scenery around it? Are there any people involved? Just really allowing yourself to feel that image press itself or exist within your mind. Now, I want you to connect with this image. I want you to feel identified with this image. I want you to recognize how it correlates with you, who you are and you right now. Now, I'm going to break down what the significance of the image in your mind might say about you. So if you pictured an image with wind blowing through tree leaves or wind blowing through clouds or a cloud itself, you are someone who's very much at ease with your influence in the world. You're someone who is very calm at the moment when it comes to your influence in the world. You're someone who feels very relaxed. If you pictured something catastrophic like a tornado, you are someone who feels very emotionally turbulent at the moment. Your worldview and your personal state in it feels very much tormented. You feel like you're just constantly in this cycle of having to push people away, of having to self-isolate, of having to reground yourself for the sake of a sense of peace. You see, unlike a Gemini, where they oftentimes try to battle their social lives because people try to, narrow them down into a box of personalities. You, on the other hand, you battle your social life because they try to make you into one specific person. Unlike the Gemini, where it's just pick an identity, yours is chosen for you, which is a people pleaser. They want you to people please at all times and be of service at all times. So you will tend to try and assert yourself through self-isolation or through explosions or through trying to ignore and avoid everyone around you. If you chose a scene, for example, like blowing wind or whatnot, like blowing wind without it influencing anything, then you're currently in a very introspective state. You're currently just kind of going with the flow, going with the humdrums of life, and you really feel like you are without direction. Now that we have that out of the way, I want you to continue having that in your mind's eye, and I want you to continue keeping your eyes closed as we do a 3-card spread. Now, during this 3-card spread, we are going to determine your current foundations, your transitional state, and your conclusions, or your conclusion on your destination, essentially. So, keep your eyes closed and really identify with the image that you have generated in your mind. Now, I'm going to shuffle this deck up so I will give you a special and unique read. I want you to just connect with that image, and through that connection, choose a card that calls out to you the most. Whichever card really makes you feel like it identifies with you, like you identify with it. So, I'm going to ask you to just take your time or be as quick as possible. However you navigate yourself is the best way for you. Okay. So I know this might be a little ironic considering how all of the talk about the indecisiveness, but just allow yourself to connect with your core, your feelings, ground yourself, and then through this sense of internal peace within your chest, just allow yourself to feel. Really ground yourself in your fingers. Try to leave the headspace because that is not where you belong. You are ruled by Venus. You are ruled by the emotion, the heart, and the sensuality, and the sensual qualities of life. So, pick any card you want and take as much time as you want to ground yourself. Excellent. 1 card. 2 card. Doing great. And 3 card. Perfect. You can open your eyes now. I'm gonna pack these cards away. Here we go. Okay, let's begin your reading now. So, for your foundation, you have Joseph Buse or Buys. Buse. So, for your life quote, you have, you also contribute to humanity's Gesamtkunstwerk. Let me do a quick research as to what that is. Kunstwerk. Oh, wow. Wow. That's amazing for you. Wow. So you also contribute to humanity's Gesamtkunstwerk. Basically, that word means a total unity or a total universal composition of artwork. So different mediums, different art forms, whether it be basically mixed media artwork, but it takes on more of a philosophical approach where you yourself are also the artwork. So you are constantly in a state of being created and creating yourself, and constantly developing the image, the idea, the honesty, the spirituality of who you are, the artisan of it, the craftsmanship of it. So you contribute to humanity's sense of total universal artwork because you are yourself a work of art, and you are your best work of art. You are someone who is highly creative, highly developing, ever developing. So that is your current state, and that is your foundation. It's just a work of art consistently, or just a universal representation of art. As for your work ethic, make sure your rabies shots are up to date. So before we go mad, before we start being a little rash or a little bit off-hinged, or unhinged rather, off the rails, make sure that you're taking your daily dose of medication. What is your daily dose of medication? Practicing boundaries. Make sure that you are, practicing boundaries, practicing establishing who you are, taking up the space that you inhabit. Make sure that you're not trying to make yourself small. Otherwise, you will be like a fox with rabies, just chanting and screaming at the sky with foam coming down your mouth. And as for your life inspiration, symbolism is just one ambulance ride away. So try not to look too deeply when it comes to other people's perceptions of you or of the situation itself. Oftentimes you could drive yourself mad, thinking, believing that certain people's absence or certain people's ideas of you are also just in general like omen-like symbolism, such as, oh, well, I saw a mirror and now I think that perhaps I'm cursed, or I saw a raven and now I think there might be some foretelling in the future. These sort of measurements of symbolism will drive you insane if you're looking for a negative conclusion or a positive conclusion. Anything that really feeds your life's the perception that you want, anything that confirms the bias you want in reality, they will drive you insane, and you might do something that you regret in the future. Now, the second one, your transitional state, is Georgia O'Keeffe. I think this is perfect for you. So, for your life quote, it states, nature can keep a secret. So if you need someone to vent to you, if you need someone to listen to you, if you need someone to really weigh out your thoughts, weigh out your decisions, weigh out what it is that you're torn between, or what it is that you feel stuck or involved with, turn to nature, turn to things that feel powerful for you. For example, tending your garden, growing a plant, taking care of pets. These are the elements that will make you feel most understood and will help you feel most free, because they are things that you are able to please, that you are able to take care of, that you are able to feel in connection with, without them having to limit you in return, without you having to be boxed in return into this very idealistic version of yourself 24/7. And lastly, your inspiration is, you can't run away from yourself, but running away from others can be quite productive. So although you might not want to do something very rash, or you might not want to do something that's off the rails. Ultimately, if you do leave a situation, or if you do leave people behind in a fashion that is very reasonable and tactful, and where you find that you are doing so out of the most clear of mind, not out of like an emotional impulse, because you might very much use that same emotional impulse to run right back and then run away and then run right back and then run away and then run right back, because you are one of your unhealthy traits is indecision. Instead, when you have clarity of mind and you've made a decision that's clear and resonates with your core, your heart, your mind, your soul, your spirit, then you can leave people knowing that you are not going to return. So that's your transitional card. Those are the aspects that you really want to focus on in order to get to this conclusion aspect. These are the qualities or the conclusion or the state you want to be in the future, or are going to be in the future. And you got Jackson Pollock. So for life quotes, you have meaning doesn't come with titles. So you are someone who, of course, likes to people please. You're a very social creature in respect to finding a sense of identity, finding a sense of meaning, finding a sense of validation from others. So instead of trying to find notoriety, instead of trying to please others, instead of trying to get the approval of others for whatever works you do, or for whatever achievements you've accomplished, instead recognize how meaningless these validations are without your own sense of, I'm doing this for me. When the compliments and the affirmations come in, they're cherries, extra cherries on top, sprinkles, just peanuts. But the main entree is how you are pleasing yourself, is how you are creating things for yourself as a reflection of who this spirit is. And that is the conclusion or the state you want to get to, is where you really recognize that you are this you are this infinite, essentially, this ever self-satisfying spirit that can really just create and be a wonderful essence for your own purposes, which you then share with others on your own terms. As for your work ethic, if fame finds you, keep working in spite of it. So, as with all air signs, you are someone who's very socially driven, very creative, very people really are drawn to you. So if fame ends up finding you, for example, you end up becoming a popular person, you end up getting a little bit of fame, a little bit of notoriety, keep working in spite of it, because you're going to try to fall into the trap of continuing on that same level of work or that same interpretation of work, because since you recognized it really got you the validation and affirmations of others, you're going to want to keep doing that same work until it no longer yields that same response, and you're going to ultimately cripple yourself and isolate yourself from who you are, split yourself, and cripple yourself in the sense of creativity, in the sense of you are now not really working or operating on your own core, but rather on the approval of others. So instead, when people do come along and they give you that affirmation and they give you that compliment, push them away and do something completely different that really resonates with you, so that way you don't fall into that trap. And lastly, for your inspiration, chaos is handmade. So because you are someone who really does come off as a people pleaser, because you are, and because you are someone who is very romantic, you ooze sensuality because of your Venus, your ruling planet being Venus, people are going to be very much attracted to you. But because you are indecisive, because you can be very confused by reality and sometimes lose yourself, you are ultimately going to feel suffocated and imprisoned by their approval of you. Thus, you're going to lash out at them, and it is going to be a little bit chaotic, and it's going to be a little confusing. However, this is your own chaos being exerted outwards. Don't allow that chaos to reflect on the inside, because the moment you push everyone away is when you finally have a better understanding of yourself. That's when you can finally breathe. So the chaos of others that you've created is not your problem. It's their problem that they can deal with while you heal and reflect. Now, how did you like this evaluation read? Was it good? Do you have any questions? No? Well, excellent. In that case, it was a pleasure reading you, darling, and you are absolutely, once again, a phenomenon to be around. Take care.